Felicia, thank you for joining me today in Pop Culture Unplugged.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Exciting times. We just had Providence Falls. All three finally premiered. What's been
Yeah.
the fan reaction? What's been like your life with all this?
It's been so much fun. I'm so grateful for the positive reaction. And even when we were shooting, the cast and the crew, everybody was so excited to make this project. And I'm so glad that it translated through the screen because the fans seem to be receiving it really well. There's so much going on in the story, the excitement, the romance. So I've been hearing a lot of good things.
How did you jump on this project? Was it an audition? Somebody you knew you worked with before? They were like, "Hey, we might have a part for you." How did this happen for you? Your journey.
Yeah, well, I've worked with Hallmark before on Three Wise Men and a Baby and the
Okay.
second one as well, but I auditioned for the part. And it was interesting because my first audition was just scenes from episode one. So it was really just, Suzette's character, the best friend supporting Cora and her love triangle. But it wasn't until I read the second time that I realized the whole plot twist,
Mm.
which made things even more exciting. And I saw the depth to her character.
Was it fun filming like a trilogy? I want to call this a trilogy. Three parts.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's always great. I feel like it's an actor's dream to be on a project for a long period of time because you can build that family dynamic with the cast and the crew. So
Yeah.
we shot for 3 straight months. It was block shooting, meaning bits and pieces, but each movie was filmed in order.
So how long did it take to film each movie? Like a month each one? Is that how it went? Roughly?
I would say roughly probably about 2.5 weeks. And
Okay.
then I had a break personally because they went to Ireland and they shot all the Ireland scenes for all 3 movies
Oh, so
there.
you weren't that lucky one to go there too.
I didn't get to go to Ireland, but it was so fun going back to set after everybody came back and just feeling their excitement, seeing the footage and the costumes. So, and
Mm.
everything turned out great.
You mentioned, Suzette was Cora's like supportive best friend, but like, what kind of description were you given when you were about to jump on this role?
Again, initially it was very much that, Suzette,
Okay.
she's fun, she's quirky, a little sassy. She loves the tea, very supportive of Cora and love triangle. And, as a best friend, who doesn't want to hear drama between and
Yeah.
stories, between whoever your friends are seeing or dating. And then later on, when I read more of the script and saw Suzette's journey, there was obviously more to her as
Mm.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's like a layered character, parts two and
Yeah.
three, and how did you approach the growth across like all three?
It was It was very, I wouldn't say difficult, but it was a lot of fun. It was interesting, and there was a lot of conversation between me and the directors and Joanna, the executive producer. They were so excited about Suzette's story, and they wanted to make sure that she was portrayed in, not as a villain, even though she had
Mm.
difficult choices to make, and a lot of the characters have difficult choices. So that journey was fun. I see a lot of myself in Suzette, and I put myself in her shoes. And it's difficult because so many of the scenes are fun and banter, but in the back of my mind, there's an ulterior motive there. So it was fun to
Mm.
play both sides.
She's known for like I wrote down that she's known for like humor, style, a little matchmaking, like what was your favorite moment of bringing this playful side to her to life?
There are so many moments, just so many situations, like the scene at the Wild Hog when Deadeye, aka Finn, or Finn, aka Deadeye, is exposed. It was just fun to bring that to life, the shock of certain scenes and Cora telling me about situations, and I'm like, ooh, and then Magnus is introduced. So again, it was fun to bring pieces of me in there because as a character, Suzette's hearing this for the first time, and it's also exciting to hear about all these different relationships that Cora has.
Mm. What was your favorite? Part one, two, or three, would you say?
I love them all, honestly, because the story just ties together. Part two, I would have to say because so much goes on and then the reveal happens.
Yeah.
And the Wild Hog's one of my favorite scenes. So part two is up there. And then part three, a lot goes on too. Filming in the mines was so exciting as well. And they all have so many good pieces to them. So it's hard to pick one. But part two is definitely up there.
Mm. Looking back, like in all those three films, how do you think Suzette ultimately like influenced Cora's journey and choices?
Looking back, I mean, it's funny because I saw a comment and someone was like, Suzette's suspicious. He seems like kind of pushy with,
Yeah.
But I think genuinely Suzette was going off of how Cora was feeling, and she could see that Cora was intrigued by Liam and kind of letting her make her own choices, but pushing her towards Liam, but as we find later on, she does have an ulterior motive. But I think for the most part, Suzette knows Cora well, and she could tell that Cora was into Liam anyway. So just kind of let things run their course, but also give a little nudge here and there. But mainly, and Suzette has said this, she wants excitement in Cora's life. And to Suzette, Finn is the opposite of excitement. So whether she's not a huge fan of Magnus, but Liam is exciting. So she definitely wants Cora to go towards Liam.
Did you have any input on Suzette's wardrobe? Some fans
No.
have been talking about that.
Oh, I know. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things about Suzette. I am such a simple person. So if you ask me, I would just be in like plain clothing, but they had the vibe of Suzette, what they wanted, and there were options. So of course, and everybody was so great with this, what makes you feel good, you try things on and you have your favorites. But as for the vision, Erica and Martin, they did such an amazing job. And that's one of my favorite things about Suzette. And it's so opposite of me, all the colors and the patterns, but it really helped bring her character to life.
Will Felicia be friends with Suzette?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Suzette is the person that you want to be friends with, especially when you go out and about. I've told my friends this before in the scene, The Wild Hog, when Suzette gets her and Cora inside. I don't have the confidence to do that in real life. So we all need that friend who's like, I got you. I know a person, or I'll just, bat my eyelashes and get us in.
Now, can you see a continuation with this story, like another part of their lives or your life to continue?
I would love that, as for the stories and the books, and they're of course connected, so the story really ends there. But I mean, there's so many opportunities for the spin-offs. You have the Angels, Aegon and Samael. And the coffee shop is kind of a staple location in the series. So, that could be the hub and new people could be introduced. So I think there's lots of opportunity for more story and people have mentioned that. So we'd love to get back to it for sure.
What do you think attracts like the viewers to tune into Hallmark to watch these type of movies? Because they have a big fan base with this channel.
Yeah, I think just the core of Hallmark, they're in these stories. So just the romance, and it is a happy ending, but it also it spices things up. You don't have to wait until the end for a kiss. There's lots
Yeah.
of tension, and Hallmark has their romance and they have their mysteries, but this
Oh
series
yeah.
is that two in one and everything, the adventure, the time travel, all that. So I've heard so many times people say this gives me a movie hangover, and it makes sense because you're feeling so much, all the difficult choices and the romance and the tension and then the murder mystery. There's so much happening and it's really enjoyable.
What do you think you learned personally as an actor filming this series or the trilogy? I don't want to call it a series. It was more of a film.
People have called it so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've honestly, I've learned so much, just about myself, and how I work and, just filming. This is, to date, the longest time I've been on set for one project. So, I've learned about my strengths. I've learned about things that I can work on. So just overall, and every project that you do, and like anything you do, the more you do it, the better you get. So this was such an amazing experience, working alongside such veteran, amazing actors. They were so supportive, and I also learned a lot from them as well.
You mentioned earlier, you've done a few other Hallmark projects also, but you're also a writer and a producer. Any plans
Yeah.
down the road? You want to try to get a project on Hallmark or what?
Absolutely. Well, Hallmark, that would be great. I love the romance and tension genre. I love to write about that. But right now I have a series. It's called Dating App Chronicles. It started as a web series. It was really at the time just a project to get my friends and I working. But then it was well received in festivals. So I wrote a full TV adaptation. So it's six
Okay.
episodes, about 25 minutes. It's a dramedy romance. So a millennial dives into relationships and deals with toxic coping mechanisms in a new city after a breakup. And anytime you mention dating apps, people are like, "Oh, I've got stories for you."
Yeah.
Dating in this digital age is difficult. So I received a grant to shoot the pilot, which we did last year, and now it's being pitched to streaming services. So that's the short-term goal. In the next year, hopefully you'll see the full series of Dating App Chronicles on a streaming service on TV.
So you filmed only the pilot.
We shot the pilot, yes, the whole series is written, the pilot is shot, and then it's just, behind the scenes, wearing the producer pants where
Mm.
you're showing pitch decks, you're showing teasers, and in our case we have a pilot. So just to give the vibe of the show, and then of course it helps having the whole series written as well. So
Mm.
it's part of the pitching process to have as much materials as you can to see who wants to take it on.
All right. So now, do you have material for a second season if it gets picked up?
Absolutely. And in my
Yeah.
brain, I'm always thinking of that. Definitely. Things can continue on. I don't want to give things away, but the
Right.
character's journey is really she's finding herself and dealing with certain scenarios and toxic coping mechanisms, like I mentioned, that she didn't think
Mm.
would be an issue. So this season is a season of growth, and then season two, still comedy and things like that, but then the story will progress and have a somewhat happy ending.
There you go. What's next for
Yeah.
you now? Any other projects you're allowed to tell us about or coming up?
I can't go into detail, but I'll be on set with Hallmark again, which I'm always
Okay.
grateful and so excited. And also shooting an indie comedy
Mm.
short. So that's always fun, improv and playing and having banter with other characters. And then of course my project, Dating App Chronicles, which you can follow the journey on Instagram, Dating App Chronicles, and just pushing that, going to different conferences and pitching to networks.
There you go. You got to keep busy. You got to keep grinding away.
Just you got to keep grinding away, and it's so great because it's part of my process. I love creating as well, but it's also helpful as an actor because, sitting and waiting by the phone, it can be difficult. We know this
Mm.
industry is very up and down, so it's nice to have another project to focus on, but also be focusing on the acting side as well.
Amazing. Felicia, I want to thank you for giving a few minutes today. Like I said, that people are still watching Providence Falls, and good luck with everything
Yes.
else you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank
Thank
you.
you. So, yeah.